Hey everybody, and welcome back. It's Jen, and I am coming to you for the first time in a very long time with a Disney video. I am so sorry that it has been a minute. To be honest, I've kind of struggled with what I want to say about Disney. I'm going to talk about that toward the end of the video, but the main purpose of today is to talk to you about things I no longer purchase at the Disney parks, and I'm really glad that you're here. So I used to do these kind of talking head videos about Disney things like all the time. And of late, I have just found that frankly, there are so many people talking about Disney things. A lot of people have stopped going to the Disney parks for a lot of reasons, much of which is financial as prices continue to rise. And I've been a little discouraged just chatting with you about all things Disney. Now, never fear, I'm still going to Disney. We still, of course, own Disney Vacation Club. Disney travel is still a big part of my life and a big part of this channel. But as the economy, not just here, but around the world has really, just not been doing well, it's been a little difficult for me to sit in front of the camera and talk about these very extravagant vacations, extravagant things like Disney Vacation Club, which we've owned for many years, but if we didn't already own, quite frankly, in this current economy, I cannot imagine anyone buying right now. And so obviously it's just been a bit of a struggle. So I thought what would be helpful today would be to share some things that over the years, not just because of the economy, but just because of my own decisions and I think probably wisdom, I've decided to stop buying online when I'm in the Disney parks. It might give you some inspiration for some ways that you could economize in order to afford other things. And I want to say, before I get into this list, everybody gets to spend their hard-earned money on whatever they want to spend it on. So when I say that some of these things are overpriced and that I'm not spending money on them, that is not to say that you shouldn't spend money on them yourself, because if something brings you joy, then for you it isn't overpriced. But these are just the things that for me, I will no longer be handing over my money to Disney for, or as I heard once, it's such great financial advice, things that are not more important to me than my money. All right, so this first one will surprise quite a lot of you. Maybe it won't though, and that is Disney merchandise. If you've noticed, I have not done a post-trip haul on this channel in a minute, and that's because when I go on the Disney Cruise Line, Disneyland, Disney World, I'm coming home with nothing. And there's a few different reasons. Obviously, I have a lot of Disney merch already. I didn't feel the need to add to my collection. But also over the last probably 2-3 years, I've really seen the quality go down and the price go up. And I've not really seen the interesting, well-curated pieces that I used to see in the Disney parks. Now, there's always the off exception. I did buy a couple years ago now, I bought a really beautiful leather bag in the France Pavilion. Note, it was not actually a Disney product. It was a product imported from France. So it's not that there aren't still some interesting finds to be had, but I'm over my Disney merch phase of my life. I don't buy Disney specific bags. I found myself not wearing them outside of the parks, and so they just seemed really superfluous to me. And then a lot of the prices, you guys know I do own one Stony Clover piece, but the prices are just really ridiculous for what they are, in my opinion. Again, and this is the last time I'm going to say this in this video. Just know that it's a blanket statement for everything that I say. If you love it, you work hard for your money, spend it on whatever you want. But yeah, the Loungefly bags, the Dooney and Burke bags, the Stony Clover bags, the Coach collection, all of these things that are Disney specific, I find them to be very overpriced for the quality, and I just found myself not using them outside of the Disney parks, and I don't go as often as I once did. More on that in a minute. So I wasn't even really using them. So that's one big thing that I have decided my money is more important to me than Disney merch. The second thing I have been pretty open about over the years, and that is Instagrammable Disney food. You guys know what I'm talking about. This really came home to me. I'm going to sit on my legs because I'm more comfortable. Do you do that? I always sit with my legs curled up. I have done that since I was like 5 years old. My son and I were at Disneyland in California. I did not vlog that trip, which by the way was really, really nice. It was nice to just go and vacation. But they had all these cakes everywhere that were holiday themed cakes. And they were, of course, beautiful. And in the pictures, they look lovely. But they were like $9, $10 for one piece of cake. And all I kept thinking about was my beautiful Publix cake that I can get here at my local grocery store bakery, and how much I enjoy it, and how fearful I was that I was going to fork over all of that hard-earned money for a food that would look really pretty on Instagram but was not going to taste very good. And by and large, that has been my experience lately with Disney snacks. We kind of have a joke amongst those of us that do this for our careers that the better looking it is, the worse it tastes. And it just seems to be the way that it goes. They put a lot of intentionality into making sure that that snack looks great on an Instagram post, and maybe a little less intentionality into making sure it actually tastes good. The ingredients are just nothing to write home about. I don't think they're worth it. And my one caveat to this would be I did have the gingerbread men from the Grand Californian Hotel while we were there, and that was hands down the best gingerbread cookie I've ever had. So if you are ever in California over the holidays, I highly recommend getting one of those gingerbread men from the Grand Californian. It was, I think it was $8, and I would have paid twice that. I'm not kidding. It was absolutely amazing. So there are always exceptions. I would say the Nutella waffle over at Sleepy Hollow, which is, it's on the bridge between the Hub and Liberty Square. The Nutella waffle there with fruit is one of those things that is just hands down, I think, the best snack in any Disney park, aside from the churros in Disneyland. But yeah, by and large, the specialty cupcakes in particular seem to just be swill. They're dry. They're the frosting they use to get that color tends to leave a coating in my mouth, and those are just not for me. They're not a good value, and they don't even taste good for all of the money that you've spent. So I'm passing on all of the Instagrammable Disney snacks. Okay, this next thing is truly going to shock a lot of you, and that is I am no longer spending money on deluxe hotel accommodations. Now, this is very easy for me to say because we do own Disney Vacation Club, but moving forward, whenever I have a trip where I'm not staying on points, I will be staying in a value or a moderate, or I will be staying off property. Disney Deluxe resort prices have gotten so out of hand that I can't. Even with discounts, when you're talking, $500 a night for a room that does not warrant $500 a night, and you need to hear me, I travel all over the world. I have stayed in hotels all over the world. My husband travels for work. He has stayed in hotels all over the world. We know that nice hotels cost a lot of money. Okay, so it's not just the price. It's the price for what you're getting. And people who tell me, oh, well, what you're getting is the location. I don't agree with it. And bonus, I found that the bus transportation at the deluxe resorts is so lousy. So aside from the parks that you can actually walk to, a lot of times transportation is not better. You can just as easily visit those resorts for the food offerings. And yeah, I'm sorry, but Disney has outpriced me when it comes to deluxe resorts. And you guys know your girl loves a good deluxe resort. But the quality is just not there for me for the prices that they want to charge. Yes, part of it is also the way they are kind of taking the charm out of the Disney Deluxe properties. There were some Imagineers chatting about this recently on Twitter, former Imagineers, just saying that a lot of the magic has gone out of the most recent design details in a lot of the resorts. And I kind of agree with that. I'm fearful for what they're going to do to the Grand Floridian now that I've seen some of the pictures coming out of the boardwalk, and just sort of making everything sterile and like everything else just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, I am no longer spending money on deluxe resorts. Now, where will I stay if I'm not staying with my DVC points. I love Coronado Springs, in particular Grand Destino Tower. I love Swan and Dolphin. I like the Reserve. I don't love the Reserve. It's okay. You can watch my review I did on that. But Swan and Dolphin is really, I think, the best bang for the buck. My husband has a bajillion points with Marriott, so oftentimes we can stay there on points, which is really nice. And I think with the walking distance to the parks, when I look at the difference in price in off season between the Swan and the Yacht Club, even with a great discount, I just cannot justify what they want for staying at the Yacht Club. So yeah, no longer spending money on deluxe resorts. By the way, quick caveat on that. A lot of you I know follow my channel because I go to deluxe resorts. My Disney content does not bring in enough money for me to justify those prices. So that's just the bottom line. I may make $400 or $500 at best on a particular video about a particular resort. If it's a really well-watched room tour, maybe I'll make $1,200. But when the rooms are between $600 and $800 a night, as a content creator, even doing it for work, the math just doesn't work. So sorry, but yeah, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. So there you go. And then the last thing that I am no longer spending my money on, and this one may rock some of you to your core, so sit down, is buying any more Disney Vacation Club points. We own 220 points. That is enough for me to do all the stays that I want to do, and then every other year, if we decide to save up, to do a big, huge blowout family trip, which is actually what we're planning for January of 2024. So I'm really excited to bring you guys along as we plan that trip. But I have enough DVC points. The points charts don't change that much. So my newest contract, which is Riviera, doesn't expire until 2070. So I'm already locked in. I don't love that about DVC, and I really don't see us needing any more. If we find ourselves needing larger accommodations, we will switch to every other year. But I don't have any deep burning desire to add on any additional points. I'm really happy with the contracts that we have. The only thing I could see myself doing is selling one contract in order to buy another, which is what I did when we bought Riviera. I sold an old Key West contract, but 220 points is more than enough for me. We travel all over the world. There are loads of plans for travel in 2023. It's only 2023, Jen, don't speed us along. That are not Disney, and I'll be bringing you guys those vlogs. I'm excited to bring you those vlogs, but I'm just finding more and more that going to Disney 2, maybe 3 times a year is totally enough for me, and there are other things that I want to do with my time, and there are other things that I want to do with my money. So a couple of quick programming notes that I want to give you guys as I close out this video, because I find that by the end of the video, the only people left watching are those of you that are really regulars. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you are a regular, would you please do me the favor of doing that and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And then of course you can always join us on Patreon if you want more exclusive content. I do live streams over there every month. You can do that for as little as $5 a month, and I'll put the link down in the description box. But I am moving all of my packing specific videos over to Joyful Living. So if you love for example, I have a Disney Cruise Line trip coming up, and my packing video for that will actually go up over on Joyful Living. So if those are the videos you love from me, you want to make sure you head over there and subscribe. I'll put the link up here and down in the description box, because that's where those videos will be moving from here on out. How often will I be doing kind of these sit-down Disney videos? I don't know. I kind of feel like I need for Disney to give me something to talk about. In terms of Disney Vacation Club, I feel like I have said everything that can be said as far as what it is, the timeshare element, what you lose in terms of flexibility. And honestly, again, as I started out with the economy the way that it is, I see people who can't afford rent, who are deeply in credit card debt, and I really don't want to be a person encouraging them to go out and buy a timeshare, and certainly not to finance a timeshare with interest rates what they are, when they have other kinds of debt, when they could be doing so many better things with their money. I love the Disney parks. We are committed to the Disney parks through the year 2070, which is very, very far from now. But I've backed off quite a bit, and that's okay. It's okay to evolve. It's okay for your taste to change. And if you're someone, again, as I said at the beginning, that just loves all the Disney merch, loves all the hauls, loves all of that, there are so many channels doing that kind of content. But for me, I'm really sort of becoming maybe a Disney minimalist. Is that a thing? Where I'm going to the Disney parks, but I'm just not spending all of the money on all of the things. And for us, as we get closer to retirement, that just feels like a really good call for us and our family. So I hope whatever you're doing today, you're being really good to each other. Do whatever you want with your hard-earned money, but remember, always ask yourself the question, do I love this thing, Disney parks or otherwise, more than I love my money? Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video, which, by the way, Disney Cruise Line content coming up very soon. So if you love that, make sure you're subscribed. Bye.